What's going on, Vikings fans? Happy Monday morning to you guys. And coming up on today's show, we're going to be doing a deep dive on Jordan Mason. I'll be explaining to you guys why this has been my favorite move GM Kwesi Adofo-Mensah has made this entire offseason for the Minnesota Vikings. And then also, in a very Kwesi Adofo-Mensah fashion, they are bringing in former first-round pick Jeff Okudah for a visit today. So we get you guys the info you need there. But before we dive into it, let's show the GM. Cam, some love down below in the comment section. If you guys want him to get that extension from the Minnesota Vikings, just hit me with a SKOL down below in the comment section. As I'll tell you what, I know the drafts have not gone well, but this guy has knocked it out of the park in free agency and really just setting up this Vikings football team to go on a run while J.J. McCarthy is on his rookie deal. So if you guys want Cam to get extended, give me a SKOL down below. So this was the trade that broke late Saturday night, and, when this news first happened, I was still a big fan of it. Just Jordan Mason, very physical runner. Vikings needed some physicality, but the more I started diving into Jordan Mason and just watching his tape from this past season, the more I started to fall in love with this deal. And plus, the Vikings, you gave up a 2026 round pick, or 2026 sixth-round pick, and that same pick the Vikings traded for Cam Akers, and then they got that pick back for Ed Ingram, and then they traded away again to go get Jordan Mason. So you gave up a sixth-round pick, and then you just dropped 27 spots in the 2025 NFL Draft, and I am more than okay with that. But I do want to show you guys my favorite stat around Jordan Mason. Now, if you guys have been watching the show for a couple years now, you guys will know I'm a big rushing yards over expected guy, RYOE, where pretty much on every given running play, they say, hey, this running back should have gotten this many yards on this certain play. And then Jordan Mason this past season, he was up there in terms of rushing yards over that expected number. He was up there with Derrick Henry and Saquon Barkley, and this was against stacked boxes as well. He ran against a stacked box more than any other running back in the National Football League this season. Then he's all the way down or up on the top right of your screen, showing that he had some of the most rushing yards over expected per attempt. So this guy is a stud, and I'm not being hyperbolic when I say this. Like, I love the Ryan Kelly, the Will Fries, the Hargrave, the Jonathan Allen, like re-signing Byron Murphy. I love all of these moves, and I understand a lot of us wanted the Vikings to attack running back this year in the 2025 NFL Draft, which they very well still could. I just don't think it's probably going to be in the first round. But I think this Jordan Mason trade has been my favorite move Kwesi has made this entire offseason. And why is that? Because if you guys remember in week 2 of the NFL season, Jordan Mason was one of 2 running backs this entire year to go over 100 yards against the Minnesota Vikings besides Jahmyr Gibbs when he torched this Vikings defense back in week 18. But he had 20 carries, 100 yards, 1 touchdown, 5 yards per clip, and he was also pretty damn good in the blitz pickup in that game. There are 2 viral clips on social media right now where he's picking up Ivan Pace, he's picking up Blake Cashman, and yes, this was a concern for him coming out of college, but he has really kind of turned himself into a solid pass blocker. Now, PFF didn't grade him out too well in the pass blocking department, but I think that could change very, very easily. And, biggest reason, Patrick, why do you love this move? Well, how do you create a physical culture? You add physical players. Now, Kevin O'Connell, he's not the same guy as like a Dan Campbell. We're like a Dan Campbell team or like a Jim Harbaugh team. Like, that's just the personality and swagger they give off is like, yeah, I am a physical head coach. We're going to be a physical team. Where Kevin O'Connell, it's more X's and O's. It's more analytics. It's more I'm trying to beat you on the outside. So how do you go add a physical culture to a culture that has not really been that over the last couple of years? You go add physical football players. You upgraded your interior defensive line. You upgraded your interior offensive line. And now you go add one of the most physical running backs in the National Football League. And another stat I love here, I mean, this is ridiculous. This is also so bad for the Vikings this past season. But on plays where it takes 1 to 3 yards to gain a first down, because I remember last season, on our watch parties, we were watching the Vikings, and it was like a 3rd and 3 or it was a 2nd and 3. And I remember I was joking with all of you guys. I'm like, guys, I promise you the Vikings are not running the football here. They're going to try to throw it. And a big reason was that, well, Aaron Jones on these plays, 2.9 yards per carry. The whole Vikings team, 2.9 yards per carry. So not good there. But our new Minnesota Viking, Jordan Mason, averaged 5.3 yards per carry. Is this a little bit of the Shanahan offense? 100%. But the main reason why I think Jordan Mason is so good in these situations is you can't arm tackle this man. You go throw on the tape, anytime there's an arm tackle where he reaches that second level, where it's linebackers, safeties, and cornerbacks, it takes multiple defenders to get this guy down. You cannot just wrap him up. You cannot just arm tackle him. You have to get multiple bodies on this man, or else you would just bounce off him. Like, you go, especially if there's one game you want to watch, it's week 1 last season versus the New York Jets. This guy ran for over 150 yards. He was that whole offense in that game, physical runner, and you can just, like, you can feel the physicality with him just through the TV screen, especially when the Vikings, they've been a great team in September, October, November. But when it comes December, January, and hopefully February for this team, having a strong run game and a physical running back is what you need, because Aaron Jones, love him as a running back. He's not the most physical guy, but adding a Jordan Mason, I love that yin and yang they'll have with each other's games. And now you're just looking at this Vikings offense as a whole, man. There's just talent at every single position. Like, there's not a hole on this team, and I love it. Yes, you can make an argument for maybe left guard, but then you could just go take a Tyler Booker or Gray Zabel in the first round, but you got the best left tackle in the league. You got the best wide receiver in the league. You got one of the best wide receiver twos, one of the best right tackles. You just picked up a 2-time Pro Bowl center in Kelly, Will Fries. Hopefully he has a breakout season. Then you got a perfect yin and yang at the running back position. Still got the franchise tight end and TJ Hawkinson, and then you got the kid out of Michigan, JJ McCarthy. And, I hate putting all this pressure on number 9 right here, but it's true, and I got full faith in him to deliver this Vikings offense, probably a top 5 unit this upcoming season. But it all comes down to the quarterback position for the Minnesota Vikings, and we were saying it before last season. And that's why I was so high on this football team, because you had the 2 tackles, you had the 2 wide receivers, just all of the offensive success came down to Sam Darnold. Well, Sam Darnold had a career year. Vikings won 14 games. The same situation applies here this season for J.J. McCarthy. If he plays good football, this will be a very successful football team, and I have full faith in him doing so. But I do want to just get one message out there, because there's a lot of rumblings on Twitter right now, and I said I wasn't going to talk about this guy, and I won't say his name specifically on today's show, but there's a lot of rumblings that this decision for this player you see on screen right here, it all comes down to Kevin O'Connell. Apparently, he is the final say, and apparently there's people in the Vikings organization that is 50-50 on this decision. I want J.J. McCarthy to be a starting quarterback. I think it would be a mistake to bring in this guy into the organization, but if Kevin O'Connell truly believes from the bottom of his heart that bringing in this man will give the Vikings the best chance to win a Super Bowl next season, I just think Kevin O'Connell has earned that respect from us and has earned us to just believe that he will make the right decision. So whoever is in at quarterback, I think it's 99% J.J. McCarthy, but if it is this guy right here, I got full faith in Kevin O'Connell to make the right decision. But let's welcome Jordan Mason to the Minnesota Vikings. Type his jersey number down below in the comment section. Give me those 24s if you guys are excited to see one of the most physical running backs in the National Football League play for your football team next season. Give me those 24s down below in the comment section. Now, coming up next on today's show, we're going to talk about former first-round pick cornerback out of Ohio State, Jeff Okudah. Was one of my favorite prospects coming out. I think it was back in 2018 when he was entering the NFL draft. So we're going to talk about him, talk about his visit with the Minnesota Vikings, and could this be a move that could set up the Vikings to truly, truly go BPA this year in the NFL draft? We'll dive into that here in a sec. But before we do so, I want to tell you guys about today's presenting sponsor, and that is PrizePicks. Now, if you guys download the PrizePicks app today, plug in that promo code CLNS. You guys will get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. Download the PrizePicks app today, plug in that promo code CLNS, get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. Now, what is PrizePicks? You may be asking. Well, PrizePicks is the best place to get real money sports action. With over 10 million members and billions of dollars in awarded winnings, PrizePicks has made daily fantasy sports accessible to all. You just pick more or less on at least 2 players for a shot to win up to 1,000 times your cash. Run your game all season long on PrizePicks. Now, right now, the Timberwolves, they're on a heater. I think they're, 13-0 in their last 13 games. Julius Randle has played. So if you guys want to create a PrizePicks lineup, taking more or less on Julius Randle's, points, rebounds, assists, etc., whatever it may be, please do so at PrizePicks. It makes these games so much more enjoyable to watch, and you guys can put your basketball knowledge to the test with PrizePicks and put some cash in your back pocket. So download the PrizePicks app today, plug in that promo code CLNS, get $50 instantly after you create your first $5 lineup. Download the PrizePicks app today, plug in promo code CLNS, get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. But massive shout out to PrizePicks for sponsoring today's show. PrizePicks, run your game. All right, Jeff Okudah, cornerback, visiting with the Minnesota Vikings. They tweeted this out at 8:46 in the morning. Unfortunately, a deal did not come to fruition for Rondale Moore. I was actually very high on him being potentially the wide receiver 3, but he left the building without a deal done, so maybe it came down to the medicals there. on Rondell Moore, but they're trying to strike gold again with a guy who was one of the highest touted recruits coming out of college, and Jeff Okudah. So I do want to share with you guys his PFF grades here first, because they aren't pretty. Started off his first 3 seasons with the Detroit Lions, got traded out of there to the Atlanta Falcons. This past season only played in 78 snaps with the Houston Texans, but it was not good. Overall grade 30.8, has never had a PFF grade over 59.4 in his NFL career. But that one season, he did get the most snaps with the Detroit Lions. We did see him have the best tackling grade and the best run defense grade of his career, and also had a pretty solid coverage grade as well that season. But the one thing I will say about Okudah, and why it just makes sense for the Vikings here, is Jeff Okudah, in my opinion, is such a Kwesi Adofo-Mensah wave of second free agency signing, where we saw him, as we actually are getting more updates. Rondell Moore, who visited with the Vikings last week, is also visiting with the Chicago Bears today. So more info there for you guys. But more on Jeff Okudah here. He, how the Vikings took a swing on Marcus Davenport, former first-round pick. This is just a very on-brand move for Kwesi, where he sees a former first-rounder, all types of talent, and he truly believes if we get him in this Vikings organization, we can turn him around. Jerry Tillery last year, former first-round pick, signed him on a cheap deal. This is a very Kwesi Adofo-Mensah-esque move. And has it always worked out? No, not necessarily. But I like kind of the high or low-risk, high-reward moves that Kwesi has always, been a fan of, as he is an analytical guy. He's a Moneyball guy. So Jeff Okudah really does fit that bill. But how does the Vikings secondary shake out right now? Harrison Smith, number 22, back in the starting lineup, which means Theo Jackson will be that rotational safety, which is going to be awesome to see him ball out this upcoming season. But now you do have 3 cornerbacks, being Byron Murphy Jr., Isaiah Rodgers, and Mekhi Blackman as well. But also Alec Lewis of The Athletic wrote up an interesting article talking about Jeff Okudah earlier on this morning, saying, expect a healthy competition here involving McGlothern and even potentially Jeff Okudah, who the Vikings have had their eyes on. Okudah had an up and down beginning to his career since the Lions drafted him with the 3rd pick in 2022. And, more on Okudah, I think if the Vikings were able to land him, they were able to bring him in on 1-year, $3 million deal, you can truly go BPA every single pick in the NFL draft. I think the Vikings are already pretty much there, but I do think cornerback is such a big need, as why DraftKings actually has the Vikings favorite this year to draft a cornerback at the first-round selection. So if you're able to get Okudah, I think you can truly just sit back and just let the board play out and just go BPA. And a BPA guy I would love, and I know our good old friend Brian Flores would love, Nick Eamon-Worry. This guy is DK Metcalf playing the safety position. 6'3", 220 pounds, freak athlete, had a very productive year. And we see the athleticism, you mix it with the production, and you would get him in the Vikings coaching staff, and really you could let them kind of dive into him and just really develop him. I mean, I got full faith that, Flores could turn Eamon-Worry to the best player in this year's draft. I full-heartedly believe that if he would end up in the purple and gold, this guy would be the best strong safety just because of his versatility and how freak of an athlete he is. He had a perfect 10 RAS score, 40-yard dash, 4.38. Height 6'3", 220 pounds, bench press, 20 reps. He had a vertical jump of 43 inches. This guy, I'll say it over and over again this offseason, he is if literally you took DK Metcalf and said, hey, you're playing safety growing up. So I would love Nick Eamon-Worry, Kenneth Grant. I would probably lean defense on my first-round pick right now, but again, a lot can change. But I would actually want the Vikings to load up on that side of the football. But you guys let me know. Who do you want the Vikings to draft? Let me know down below. And also, you guys can hit me up on Twitter. At @PatSieps is a Twitter handle. Give me a follow over there. I'll give you guys a follow right back. But thanks so much for watching today's show. As always, SKOL Vikes.